Good afternoon, crypto enthusiasts. Today we have another research of a coin, in this case token. That's the World Liberty Fi token of the Trump family. Now, as we mentioned before, on the crypto economics, we're going to be working on vast area of macroeconomics, blockchain technology, and we will research a big amount of coins and tokens as the time progresses. Now, in this particular situation, since we have already done so on our Macedonian channel, we have already went through 120 different coins and tokens from the largest to the smallest projects in the crypto industry. We are going to do so here as well, but again, we will need a little bit of time. So thank you for your patience, and we can start today. As we've mentioned, our channel is Crypto Economics. As you can very easily see, this is how you can find it on YouTube channel. Additionally, we have already done so. We have analyzed two previous projects. That's the Ethereum project and the Tron project, and this is the third one, which will be part of our playlist analysis of crypto coins and tokens. Now, how do we do this research? Obviously, we have a particular in-house devised way of analyzing these projects. These are the 6 topics that we need to go through. These are the 6 groups of six groups of questions that we need to answer. So we'll have a clear idea of what type of projects we are talking about. As you know, we're not going to answer them in a particular order, but in this case, we will definitely make sure to answer all of them by the end of this video. Additionally, as you know, we always categorize our projects, the ones that we have in our portfolio and the ones that we are currently researching, in these 20 different research categories. These are the categories of type of projects, depending on what kind of solution they are bringing to the market or what type of problem that they're trying to fix. In this particular case, unfortunately, for this particular project, the only close category that comes to is the DeFi sector, decentralized finance. We're going to explain why in a bit later on in this video. Unfortunately, aside from that, the additional coin that there is also part of this I would say project, the World Liberty Fi project, is the stable coins as well, because this project has 2 coins. The first one is the WLFI, and the second one is the USD1. The USD1 is a stable coin, which means that he's going to be part of the third category, and the World Liberty Fi coin is token in this particular case, is a governance token, but in the same time, they are connected to the Aave project from the DeFi sector. For this reason, we're going to particularly put this token into the DeFi sector. As we have mentioned, the main reason for our research on this particular token is the connection to the Trump family. As we know, currently, Donald Trump is the president of America, and he will remain in the same position for the next 2.5 years. And we're going to break down, first of all, everything we need to know about the token. And later on, we're going to break down everything we need to know about the connection of this particular project to the Trump family and why, in this case, it's so important, the connection itself. Now, how do we start? As we said, by answering the questions of these 6 groups of questions. The first one always is the application and practical use case of the coin. Are there other projects that are competing with it? And are there real-world applications that can replace it? As we've mentioned, the first token of this project is the World Liberty Fi WLFI token, which currently, as you can see, is in the place of middle range coins, or in this case, token. From 0 to 1 billion market cap, we consider them micro tokens. From 1 billion to 5 billion, we consider them small. From 5 to 10 billion market cap, we consider them middle range, and above 10 billion, we consider them large coins or large tokens. In this particular case, we're talking about a small project. Additionally, the second coin, that's the USD1, in this particular case, again, token. So the difference between coins and tokens, the coins are the ones that have their own native blockchain, and the tokens are the ones that are built on somebody else's native blockchain. So in this particular case, both of them are tokens. USD1 is a token, stablecoin token, which is pegged to the dollar and which currently has a massive amount of market cap of $4.6 billion. Now, if we need to go through the categories, unfortunately, we're going to find out that this particular token does not have any particular category. As I mentioned, this is one of the hardest parts why we cannot put it, I would say, in a separate category with other technology, as we've mentioned, according to our 20 separate categories. As we can see here in CoinGecko as well, the only two categories that this token is related to is made in USA and Trump affiliated, which means the token itself does not hold any particular value regarding categories. Now, the two categories that we have mentioned, the first one, the Trump affiliated coins, these are coins that are close to, or I would say directly managed and owned by this family. The USD1 stablecoin, World Liberty FI, and the two meme coins of Trump and his wife. And as we mentioned, made in USA, again, this is not a particular category depending on the type of projects and technology. This is a particular category of the origin of the coins and tokens. In this case, the ones that are made in USA. As we can see, his coin is part of this category, but it's not really important for our, I would say, research. Another thing that we need to also mention is that his stablecoin, again, I will be stating from this point onwards that everything you see over here in this project is his, because that's the truth. His stablecoin, Trump's stablecoin, USD1, is currently the fourth largest stablecoin in the world, which really puts him in a very good position financial-wise to this new digital finance world that is coming to us. Now, as we have mentioned, what is the application of the coin? We need to go a little bit deeper to uncover what is the application when we practically go into the project itself and the use case of the World Liberty FI. But if we're talking about the stablecoin, as every other stablecoin, is used mainly for trade. So in this case, the second token is quite easy and quite, I would say, straightforward to explain. It's a token of exchange. In the same case, obviously, the competition is quite clear. The two largest are the Tether and Circle USDC, USDT, and USDS. So in this case, obviously, we know who is the competition. But in the other one, we're going to delve a little bit deeper to explain the application. Now, before we do that, we're going to go a little bit into the tokenomics, and we're going to explain where is the token coming from. As you can see, the token is relatively new. This site, ISO Drops, is giving us practically the origin of coins. Why is it so? Because it's showing us the funding rounds or ICO rounds that these particular coins and tokens had. Funding round or ICO is initial coin offering to particular investors. In this case, first funding round in November 2024, not by accident. This is exactly when Trump won the elections in America. The first investor in this first funding round was Tron, and in this particular case, that's the owner of the Tron project. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about it later, but the first round, as you can see, $30 million were allocated to this project from Tron. Later on, we can see that there is another round, like the one in January 2025, with Web3 Port investing 10 million to this project. And then there is other ones which are not stated. In this particular case, there is no amount, so we don't know exactly how much of the World Liberty FI tokens were bought by this particular venture. And as you can see, there is also the initial sale of $300 million raised, in this case, by different investors. Unfortunately, they're not mentioned here. So we can see that the interest for this coin, particularly at the beginning of 2025, was quite high. Obviously, that was the start of, in this case, the start of the presidency of Trump. Now, the main reason for existence of this token is the governance. Now we go back to application. The idea of World Liberty FI WLFI token is the governance of this project, which is mainly financial and is obviously owned by the Trump family. Currently, as we said, they don't have their own blockchain, so they are built on the Ethereum blockchain as an ERC20 token. Since they don't have their own blockchain, nothing more needs to be said regarding the mechanism and everything regarding the blockchain itself, because again, as we said, they are currently just like a decentralized app on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, as we mentioned, the World Liberty Fi is a DeFi project which is built on the Aave protocol, which is also on Ethereum. As you can see, currently the platform that they have, the World Liberty Fi platform, is a lending and borrowing platform, which is a copy of the Aave version 3. That's the biggest lending and borrowing protocol in the crypto industry. How do they do that? They actually have implemented this lending and borrowing protocol on their special web page. We're going to show it a little bit later, and we can see that the project itself and obviously the in this case the protocol is run by the Trump family. As we can see over here, on high positions we have his own sons and I would say closer family implemented into this project. Now, this is the web page that we were talking about, worldlibertyfinancial.com. This is the web page that stands behind the project itself. And if we go forward, this is practically the open, the World Liberty Fi market, as they call it. This is how the lending and borrowing protocol looks like. So as you can see over here, these are the assets that you can actually lend and borrow. This is the main dashboard where you actually can see what you can, what is available for lending and for borrowing. Now, we're not going to go that much into detail. If you want to, you can check obviously this on your own. These are the rates for borrowing and lending that you're getting or you're paying for lending or borrowing these particular goods. Additionally, what we have to mention, these are the wallets you can use to participate into their version of the Aave protocol. Zerion, MetaMask, Brave Wallet, Coinbase Wallet, and some others which you can find on this field over here. So, in base terms, they're using the USD1 as a stable coin on their platform and the World Liberty Fi as a governance token. Now, this is the part of the governance that we've mentioned. This is the worldlibertyfinancial.com/governance, where the future of this particular project, I would say, is supposed to be determined by the World Liberty Fi token. How do they do that? There is two separate pages. The first page is the forum, where obviously we can see that every one of these proposals that are generally submitted by anybody from the, I would say, from the bigger community is discussed. And then on the second page, you can see the special page for voting. That's vote.worldlibertyfinancial.com, which obviously is using more or less the same wallets where you need to have World Liberty Fi tokens to be able to vote. As you can see, these are the proposals that people are actually voting. You can see the amount of yes and no's, which are given depending on how many World Liberty Fi tokens you have. And as I said, once you log in, the web page automatically reads the amount of World Liberty Fi tokens you have and practically gives you the rights to decide on all these matters if they're still open. Obviously, some of them are closed. So whenever there is a new proposal, you can actually vote. Probably it's best to actually read what's the proposal, obviously. But in that case, this is a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, where the people that have invested in the project itself by buying these tokens can actually decide its future. This is how the crypto blockchain industry is supposed to work. Additionally, we can see that there is a bridge on their webpage as well. Why is this so important? Aside from the lending and borrowing protocol, which is mainly on Ethereum, there is no other blockchains that you can currently use regarding the Aave protocol that they own. But the bridge itself shows us which other blockchains are available for transfer for the World Liberty Fi token and the USD1 token. Now, unfortunately, while we're doing this video, for some reason, the bridge application on their webpage is not working. But otherwise, on several different blockchains, like the Tron blockchain, currently you can send the World Liberty Fi and, in this case, USD1 token. Now you can check for yourself, but over here, practically you can choose from which blockchain to which blockchain you want to bridge these assets straight from this from their webpage. Now, how do they work? Now, we're still talking about the application. What's the point? Why do they have it? At the end of the day, if you ask me, I think that the lending and borrowing protocol, I'm going to speak plainly and openly here, is just a cover-up for what is actually going on. When we analyze coins, we try to give you the straight-up story. We try to give you exactly what's going on. and we're going to give you what we have found so far, and we're going to give you our point of view of what we have seen. Now, what you see here is 18th of February 2026, a Mar-a-Lago World Liberty FI forum. I'm not going to say that they are actually selling their coins or tokens in this particular case to private, obviously, firms and individuals, but what we have seen so far points out exactly to that direction. What I'm trying to say is that they have these private events which are held practically in their house, where people are coming and visiting them. Let's not forget, currently Trump, as the president of America, has a lot of, I would say, pluses to have as a friend. And I would say that if you want something particular from your friend and you cannot pay him directly, why not pay him through the World Liberty Forum, in this case, through buying part of his project. Now, we're going to prove this, obviously, in the fundamental analysis with some news that are coming for this project, and you can, again, decide on your own. We're not the ones that are going to tell you how to think, obviously. As per Bloomberg, quiet token sales boosted Trump crypto wealth to 660 million. As we can see, this is actually the Mar-a-Lago mansion where these particular parties are held, and this is how it looks like. This is exactly one of those private forums that we have seen on the news before, which is exactly on their webpage. Then, let's not forget that they went even one step forward. This is a project that has only 1 year behind it, and I would say it's quite controversial when you see what are the other news that we're going to talk about. They just applied. This is literally few months ago, on January the 8th, 2026. They just applied for a bank charter approval. This is done with the OCC, which is the Office of the Controller of the Currency, which is the, I would say, institution in America, which, first of all, issues licenses for banks, and second of all, most of the time, it's the one controlling the banks, doing the, I would say, financial controls. Now, in this particular case, we have previous cases like Ripple, like BitGo, like Coinbase, like Circle, which are applying for bank licenses, but these are giants in the crypto industry, which are here, some of them more than 6-7 years, like in the Ripple case. In this particular case, we have a company that is practically unknown, just appeared on the market, and it's already applying for a bank charter license. I would say quite surprising. Another thing, we can see that the Trump family is not sitting idly by. This is not their only venture in the crypto industry. So we also need to mention what else do they own and if it is connected to these particular projects. We have just found out, May the 18th, this is literally 2 days ago, that the Trump family has also taken part of the Mara holdings. This is Marathon Mining, which is one of the top 5 companies for Bitcoin mining in the world. And now we just found out that Trump actually took a stake in this company. Unfortunately, we were not able to find how big of a stake it is, but still, this shows you that the family of this particular president is trying to go deeper into the blockchain industry. Again, this is not directly connected to the World Liberty FI, but it just shows you that this company definitely will not stop here and will continue going forward into the blockchain industry. Obviously, they've seen the potential of this technology. Another interesting thing that we have found 2 months ago, which might be connected to this particular project, we will see in the future, is that the World Liberty Financial, in this case, the company itself, why am I saying connected to this project? Because the token World Liberty so far is not directly connected to what you're seeing right now on the screen, which means that the World Liberty Financial company will be tokenizing part of their real estate in the Maldives. And this will be done through BlackRock Securitize. This is the biggest tokenizing company right now on the market, obviously owned by the biggest fund manager in the world, BlackRock. Now, this is not obviously a coincidence. Obviously, there is a bigger story behind it. So far, what we know is that this tokenization obviously will be done through Securitize. But again, I've been through the whole article. Unfortunately, there is no mention of the usage of the World Liberty token or the USD one, but definitely we're expecting that they will be used in some kind of transactions regarding this tokenized real estate. Another thing which is quite negative Now, as we mentioned before, when we are answering these questions, especially in the fundamental analysis, we always make sure to answer if there is any connection to criminal or civil court cases. Why? In our previous experience, let's take Ripple as an example, we had a very bad experience where we have actually bought a coin that went into a civil, not in this case, criminal court case, where the SEC, the Commission for Securities, have actually sued this project, and it held it practically as a, I would say, hostage for the last 3-4 years. Now, in this particular case, we can see that something similar might happen here as well. So for this reason, be cautious when you're investing in this project. We can see that from the funding round of Justin Sun, if you remember at the beginning of the video, that's the founder of Tron, has invested $30 million into this project, into the World Liberty Fi. Then later on, we can see that on the 22nd of April 2026, Justin Sun sued the company of Trump, in this case World Liberty Fi, that he has some obstructions in using his own coins, in this case tokens. Now, another thing that we need to mention is that obviously is not only 30 million, as we can see, Sun currently is stating that he has 4 billion tokens of World Liberty Fi, which are worth $320 million, which means that he have obviously been investing a lot more later on. And obviously, we have the second blow coming from the Trump family towards Justin Sun, where they have countersuited him with a defamation lawsuit, practically stating that what he's saying is a lie. So why is this so important? Because in this case, going through this lawsuit might bring us to a situation where the coin might devalue, because people will lose trust when they see that there is a particular lawsuit connected to this particular project and token. So for this reason, I would advise very carefully to consider this when you're investing in this project, because we really don't know how this will progress later on with this lawsuit. Another thing that we also need to mention when we're talking about criminal court cases is that the Senator Warren is currently trying to start a procedure. This is 15th of May, 5 days ago from the moment we're doing this video, currently trying to start a procedure of a probe into the Trump family, which includes the World Liberty Fi token and company. Which means, as a senator, she has quite large, I would say, rights to go into, with a special investigating, obviously, team, to the financials of this project. So keep in mind, this might be very bad for the project and for, obviously, the Trump family. And if you're invested, obviously, for you. Now, additionally, we need to also mention that one of the ventures of the Trump family is the ABTC company, which is a mining company owned by two of Trump's sons. Now, this is the American Bitcoin Corporation, which is working also around 1 year back. But very importantly, that's why I'm saying we need to know everything when we're investing in a project. They are not directly connected. We can see that, yes, they do have parts of the family of Trump in the, I would say, higher echelon of management, but they are not directly connected, which means these are just two separate companies working practically and being owned by the same family. Now, we're going to go a little bit into technical analysis. The problem, as every other coin that we had currently in the 2022 to 2026 bull market, is that unfortunately the altcoins had a very, very bad, I would say historically bad performance. Why is that so? We didn't have altcoin season. The rotation of Bitcoin towards altcoin never happened because the retail sector was completely absent this bull market from the crypto industry. And obviously, the main drivers of the pump of the Bitcoin and Ethereum price was actually the institutions. So obviously, since we didn't have any retail sector jumping in this particular case to in some way kickstart the altcoin season, unfortunately, all the main coins and tokens, especially the ones that were produced during the 2023, 24, 25 bull market, have had a bearish trend. We did not have an altcoin season. So for this particular reason, this is a chart you will see from most of altcoins for the duration of the bull market of 2022 to 2026. Now, we're currently experiencing a technical analysis of which we need to wait until we determine the Bitcoin bottom. before we start making any type of analysis for any altcoin. Why? Because if we see this particular token, we can see that he's on the bottom of what can be a very lucrative, I would say, start of a bull market. But we cannot determine that there is a start of a bull market until we see that on the Bitcoin chart. In this case, we can see that the MACD is down to the minus 60 level, where usually makes the transition from bearish to bullish. And we can see the transition has started. The signal line just crossed the basic line. Additionally, we have determined a local bottom. And when you see that this is on the weekly level chart, it means it's a very, very large signal. Additionally, we can see this basic channel in which the price is going down. And we have, after, I would say, practically 4 months, finally reached the bottom of the channel, where we have managed to hit, I would say, a local low. But again, I would not be so bullish to say that we're starting a bull market until we see bottom of the Bitcoin price, which we're not expecting to happen potentially until the end of this year. Again, don't forget, this is not a financial advice. We're just saying what we are seeing currently in the charts. Now we're going to go back to tokenomics, where we're going to discuss the amount of coins currently on the market. As you can see, there is 31 billion and 772 million tokens on the market out of total of 100 billion, which means 31% of the total amount of tokens are currently in circulation. Now, when we're talking about how many of them are in circulation, obviously, we need to see what is the inflation and particularly when will be the next vesting schedule release, how many tokens will be put in the market. Now, we always check CoinMarketCap, but in this particular case, unfortunately, CoinMarketCap does not have vesting schedule for this coin, as we can see. We do have financial holders. We can see that they are constantly growing. So this is how many people are actually owning this particular coin. We can see there is 145,000 single users that have their own unique address of this particular token. And we can see the total amount of holders, which is important for the decentralization part at the end. But unfortunately, there is no vesting schedule. The only vesting schedule we managed to find is on the Tokenomics.ai, where we can see that the vesting schedule for now is quite safe. What does that mean? We can see that in this particular case, everything that was supposed to be let on the market is already done. This line that we see over here with interruptions is actually the line where we currently are in the timetable of the vesting. This is May 2026. And what we can see that there is no vesting round, there is no additional release for new World Liberty FI tokens until April 2028, which means we have around 2 more years of no additional tokens on the market. That means that there is no inflation. There will be no additional tokens to inflate the price, to lower the price of the token, which is very good for the next 2 years and potentially for the next bull market. And from that point onwards, we can see that there is a inflation or vesting schedule starting from April 2028 to May 2031, which means there will be 3 years of practically every month vesting and every month release of new tokens. So practically so far, we don't need to talk about this at all until 2028. When we're talking about tokenization, we always mention, so let me just check this part so we can actually show it to you. Yes, we're now back to fundamental analysis where we need to check, is there any ETF or ETP? These are the special financial vehicles where institutions are able to invest in this particular coin and token. And that's which are the digital asset treasuries where also companies are investing directly into this particular crypto coin. Now, as you can see, there is no applications for World Liberty FI ETFs or ETPs, which means so far institutions have not applied to have their own fund where they can custody this token. On the other hand, there is a company, there's the Alt5 Sigma company, which owns a very large amount of World Liberty FI tokens. That's 7.2, almost 7.3% of the total amount of tokens in circulation of the World Liberty FI Financial. Now, why is this so important? This company, Alt5 Sigma, we have seen here, believe it or not, on one of these news, just I'm trying to locate it. This is the one. As you can see, there's the Alt5 company that is also owned by the sons of Trump, which means that we can see how in this particular case, they literally give one to another amounts of tokens. So we can see that this company, which is also owned by the sons of Trump, owns around 7.3% of the total amount of tokens in circulation of World Liberty Financial. Again, another red light. Now, when we're talking about the stablecoin, obviously we can see that there is a quite large amount of, I would say, capital in it, and there is no vesting schedule, since this is obviously on a mint and burn base, depends on who needs it. Now, as we mentioned before, the sale of tokens, when we're talking about World Liberty FI, is not only in America. What we can see here is that on June 27, 2025, the United Arab Emirates decided to invest $100 million into the Trump's World Liberty FI, or in this case, to buy $100 million worth of tokens in WLFI. This is not the first time. We have seen the same a little bit earlier. Now, we have seen that on the 1st of February 2026, a little bit later, the United Arab Emirates bought additional $500 million stake or $500 million tokens into the same company. Now, this is definitely not a coincidence. In the same time, don't forget that we have currently war between Iran and the Arab states, which are supported in the other way. Practically, Arab states are neutral, I would say, but it's not really the case. Anyway, if you ask me, I think this is the price you pay for protection when you are currently faced with an enemy like Iran. And if you ask me, this is not by accident. The same way is not by accident the exit of the United Arab Emirates of the OPEC company. But again, this is a subject for another day. What I'm trying to say is that currently we can see that Trump is using this company for other countries, individuals, and companies to be able to invest in it when they want something from him. There is no other way to explain it. That just out of nowhere, company that exists for 1 year gets this type of investments overnight. If this is not the connection, then please state in the comments what do you think the connection is. And then we continue forward. This is again part of the tokenomics. We're going to talk about the metrics of the blockchain itself. As we mentioned, USD1 is the only one that is currently connected to the real world assets class. Obviously, this is part of the blockchain technology, which is tokenizing real world assets. World Liberty FI has nothing to do with this category, but the USD1 has, obviously. The stable coins are just another representation of tokenized cash. So we can see that the tokenized cash USD1 is not mainly on Ethereum, as is the case for World Liberty FI in most of the market cap of it. We can see that there is a substantial amount on Binance and substantial amount on Solana, somewhere around 40-20, I would say, of the total amount of market cap of this stablecoin is on these three main blockchains. Again, very lucrative to have this stablecoin, especially when it's issued by the World Liberty FI and is custodied by the BitGo. So why is it so important? Because let's not forget, when you do own stablecoins, you are allowed, as per the Genius Act, to buy with part of this, I would say, amount of cash that you need to hold for the minted stablecoins, certain percentage in short-term debt in America. So when you do so, you are quite generously rewarded currently because the rate of the short-term debt in America is quite high. So owning $4.6 billion of this coin by the World Liberty Financial Company means that they are getting quite a lot of, I would say, this generous reward for buying short-term US treasuries. Nothing is, I would say, coincidence. Then we're going to go into a little bit of more detail when we're talking about the metrics, but don't forget that World Liberty Financial does not own its own blockchain, so it means all we see over here is just metrics of a token. First thing that we can see, unfortunately, in DeFi Llama, when we're talking about World Liberty Financial, there is nothing except for their market cap. Why? Because they do not own directly, I would say, DeFi, right? They do work as a DeFi protocol, but the protocol itself is Aave, is not World Liberty Financial, which means obviously when we search in DeFi Llama, we can see that they do not have practically a DeFi part in the DeFi sector per se. They are just borrowing the Aave protocol on their webpage. Additionally, from the metrics, we can see that there is a total value locked on this protocol of $3.7 billion, which, if you ask me, I think mostly is the actual stable coins. It's not stated which particular part is the total value locked on this project. Why am I saying so? There is no logic for it to be the World Liberty Fi token. Why? Because World Liberty Fi currently has only $1.9 billion of market cap. So the only explanation for this amount of total value locked has to be the stable coin. Then if we continue forward, token holders, as we mentioned before, as per the analysis of CoinMarketCap, there is currently 145,000 holders of this token. As per token terminal, something less, around 100,000. So this discrepancy is not very clear, but again, I'm just presenting you all the facts and all the findings that we had, and I'm leaving it up to you to decide what you wish to believe. Additional monthly active addresses is showing us that there is around 50 to 100,000 monthly active addresses that are actually using this particular project token. And when we're talking about transactions, these 50 to 100,000 active addresses have processed so far 14.6 million transactions, and we can see again from 50 to 100,000 more or less in I would say median range transactions per month. And asset means this is that I found is particularly scary. As we have seen before, the vesting schedule is made so that there is no minting until 2028, right? But as per token terminal, we can see that there have been sporadic mints of hundreds of millions of dollars worth of these tokens. Now, these types of mints, which are obviously done on a monthly, daily basis, depends when they need. Obviously, this is a weekly chart. Are very scary because this shows you that somebody is able to mint at any particular time any amount of tokens. Additionally, this is not automatic. Obviously, if it is, we would see, for example, a certain amount of minting on a certain time frame, which is more or less similar. Over here, we can see very different amounts that are minted on a, I can imagine, base that is needed for whoever is minting this. So this is, I would say, something that is not explained anywhere. We couldn't find any explanation. And again, it's a very scary thing because you can see in the last month, there is on a weekly basis, $198 million worth of tokens minted, then 122 million, 47 million, 97 million the last week up to 11th of May, which means this is something that is, I would say, a red flag that you need to worry about. Obviously, there is nothing to check in the crypto meteors because at the end of the day, usually I would say in this case, dApps, they do have sometimes teams of developers, but in this case, you can see there is no information about any scripts being deposited in the GitHub depository. And in this case, obviously, we will check about any devs that are working on this project. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any. So as you can see, except for the World, but this is WorldCoin, which is not the same project, there is no developers working on this project or no developers that are reported. As well as one of the last important things we need to mention when we're talking about tokenomics is the World Liberty Financial data sheet regarding their finances. What we can see that a large amount of these tokens are currently held by this company. Around $4.2 billion worth of World Liberty Financial tokens are held by this company. Now, when we compare this to the market cap, which is, as we mentioned, quite large, we can see that it doesn't add up. Why am I saying this? Because the market cap of the World Liberty Financial tokens is 1.9, and we can see as per their data sheet that they own 4.26 billion worth of tokens. Again, same situation. This means that either they also own part of the escrow in the future, which is still not unlocked, but it shouldn't be given like this because it shouldn't be registered. It's not in circulation. So this is what I'm saying. When you see these kind of discrepancies, this is a big red flag, and you need to be very worried because it's not possible for a project to has only $1.9 billion worth of market cap, as we can see as per CoinGecko and as per, in this case, Coin Market Cap, and in the same time has the company owns double of that in obviously tokens in their portfolio as per Arkham Intelligence. Again, a red flag. And obviously, last but not least, when we're talking about decentralization, we need to see how does this look when we're talking about the largest wallets. We always compare what do the largest wallets of this blockchain own. Now, in CoinMarketCap, unfortunately, there is no information. So we can see that currently, although the wallets are registered, unfortunately, we cannot see any information regarding what they own. But in CoinMarketCap, we have found the basic information where, again, scary. It shows that the top 10 wallets of this particular project, World Liberty Fi, owns around 87.17% of the total coins tokens in circulation. This is very, very disturbing. Now, we have seen that the first wallet and the second together are actually the majority of the coins. They already have around 60% of the total amount. But again, it's very hard to explain because looks like these are coins in escrow. Why am I saying this? When you see the total amount in value, 2.8 billion, 770 million together is again higher than the projected market cap, which means that these are coins that are in escrow, but they are still owned by these, I would say, top wallets, which are potentially connected to the project and to the Trump family. Now we're going to go back and we're going to check what we have missed so far. Yes, one thing we definitely missed, this is to see where is the World Liberty Fi token available, where you can buy it. Now we can see that it's already listed on the highest and biggest centralized exchanges and the indexes like OKX, Binance, Coinbase, Gate, BitGet, Upbit. As you can see, the biggest one already have it, which means you can find it quite potentially everywhere. Crypto.com as well, obviously, as we mentioned, the DEXs. Same goes for the USD1 as a stablecoin. Binance, MEXC, we're going to see over here as well. Coinbase somewhere, Bybit, obviously, Gate, as we mentioned, IO, Coinbase Exchange. So practically the largest exchanges do have these coins to trade, tokens to trade. Applications we answered, roadmap we did, technical analysis we did as well in base term, fundamental analysis we did extensively, obviously. Tokenomics we explained, don't forget, we had to talk only about the coins because there is not a lot to talk about the type of blockchain, and decentralization where we actually explain everything regarding the decentralization of the project. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope you're going to join us on our journey of analysis and education. Again, follow our channel, Crypto Economics. Find the same channel on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. And we hope to see you for the next video. Have a good day. Hi from Malta and from our team.